Community leaders in Chinatown are raising concerns about shuttles busing residents to Bally's temporary casino downtown. They claim Bally's is preying on a vulnerable community with a known history of gambling problems, especially since Bally's doesn't have shuttles in other communities. Bally's officials would not say how the service came to be, but says it received positive feedback since it started last October. And as the presence of legal gambling grows in Illinois, so does the potential for gambling addiction. That's where the Illinois Council on Problem Gambling steps in, and board member Anita Pindiur joins me now to talk about it. So Anita, what can you tell us about the state of problem gambling right now in Illinois?
Well, thank you. Thank you for asking and kind of bringing this to the present. In 2020, a prevalence study was done, which was one of the first new studies in the state of Illinois since about the 90s. And so the study kind of shows that majority of people, about 90% of people, can gamble responsibly, and can gamble healthy. About 10% we can see a problem. About 7%, over 700,000 people here in the state of Illinois will be at risk, and over 3%, like 3.8%, or about 380,000 people in Illinois will have a significant gambling use disorder. And that's a diagnosable problem where we will see kind of that continuation developing and loss of kind of work, school, family, and problems starting to result.
Yeah, really devastating impacts there, and I'm sure part of that is just how prevalent it is now. You can gamble on your phone now, as I do sometimes.
Right, and most people can,
yeah.
Right? And for most people, it is fun and entertainment. However, it is very prevalent, and not only have we made it prevalent, we made it very socially acceptable. And we know that for things like disorders, like a gambling use disorder or any other addictions, when we kind of have accessibility and acceptability, we see the rise of problems continue. So we're especially concerned for those at risk, and we're especially concerned for youth.
Yeah, because they have phones, they could easily download these apps too.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So how does someone know if they have a gambling problem, or even somebody at home, if their family member, how can they recognize that?
Right. So sometimes it's not one of those things that you're like, oh, well, you obviously do, right? And
right.
We're in January. Many people are talking now about dry January. We're all cutting back. We're all starting to exercise, right? And so sometimes we look at it and say like, well, maybe I'm gambling too much. But there really are kind of criteria that we will look up that are diagnosable. And most of the time, it's when you feel the need and you can't stop. So it's a huge preoccupation where that's all you're thinking about, that's all you're focusing on, and everything else sort of disappears. So, you're not working on school. When we see with kids, grades drastically drop. When we see them going from being maybe social or active in activities to being more isolated and very focused on one thing, such as perhaps sports or sports gambling. That kind of loss of income and usually financial difficulties. So when there's significant financial difficulties, like, we all kind of always want a little bit more money or are always struggling.
For sure.
But when it's significant, and then they're borrowing of money, and then the chasing of money, and they're talking about, if I win in this game, I will make up for it. I'll pay you back when I make it. And so when you start noticing that, or you start noticing significant mood changes, anxiety or significant depression, that's maybe a time when you want to kind of look at it. And the state of Illinois now has a website as well as a phone number where people can go on, take a survey, or talk to a professional about this.
Got about a minute left here, so really quickly, what resources are out there to help people with this?
Yes, so the easiest resources are 1-800-GAMBLER. It's a 24-hour hotline. You can call at any time, and a licensed professional will speak to you about gambling use disorders, as well as the areyoureallywinning.com website. And that one will link you to the link of professional help as well as a survey. And then always the Illinois Council on Problem Gambling, that we are always there for professionals looking to expand their careers and expand their knowledge in gambling use disorders. So clinicians, doctors, nurses.
All right, Anita, thank you so much. It's a big problem that needs to be talked about more for sure. So we appreciate you providing that resource there.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you or a loved one is having problems with gambling, contact the National Problem Gambling Helpline. The information right there on your screen.